Pastor Jeremy. This is my beautiful wife, Hope. Yes, I was tempted to just let you guys just sit there and stare at her for the next 25, 30 minutes, but I guess I'll preach to you this morning. All right, so we're going to be continuing our series, How to Neighbor, and today I just want to address an issue, or we want to address an issue that is just close to every single one of your hearts, and maybe some of you have used some language like this, like, I just really want to help the poor. And that's all right. Yes, we can help the poor, but we want to do more than that, and that is to empower the poor to take steps out of poverty into the life that God has designed for them. So the title of today's message is just that, is empowering the poor. So I know there are many of you that might say that right now you're struggling yourself, and we're going to address that and also what we can do to help those that are struggling themselves. But before we do that, I went on Twitter and I typed this in, "I'm so broke," just to see what people around the world were saying. So I got a few little liners that they said. If you don't think it's funny, just laugh anyways. Help my self-esteem. All right, so this person actually said this. "I'm so broke, I just went to McDonald's and put a small fry on layaway." That's pretty bad. This person said, "I'm so poor, I can't even get a sugar daddy. All I can afford is a Splenda daddy." All right, this next one said, "I'm so poor, I rub cologne from a magazine all over my shirt." And then when someone says, "What is that?" I say, "It's page number 5. And the last one, this person said, "Now I'm so broke, I'd go to KFC to lick other people's fingers after they eat." That's disgusting.
That is so gross. But the reality is that there are so many people struggling financially, maybe even down the road from us. And maybe even some of you today are thinking to yourself, yeah, Hope, I really am in a deep place of need today. What do I do? But maybe some of you, like Jeremy and I, have had the opportunity to visit developing nations. And in these places, you might have seen one-room shacks where maybe 6, 7, 8, or 9 people are living in, multiple families. They're made of metal scraps, and the room is about the size of my walk-in closet. And while many of us, we complain, and don't worry, I'm guilty of this too, I open the refrigerator, and I look at the millions of ingredients, like how many salad dressings do you need? I open it up, and I say, Jeremy, there is nothing to eat in this house. And they would never say that. These people are hoping a bag of rice and some beans are going to last them and their family through the week. And whether it's reality or poverty like that, or poverty of somebody in your small group that's unemployed, all different types of poverty, they're all real. And today we want to talk about how do we empower those who are in need in a way that would honor Christ. In Matthew 25, Jesus tells us an interesting parable about what it would be like when he returns for his people. Essentially, he's separating those who are his from those who are not his. And he's going to say something to those that he calls his. He's going to say, "When I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was homeless, you gave me a place to stay." But then the people that he's talking to, the people that are his, they're going to respond and say, "What are you talking about? When did we do this? When did we give you, Jesus, something to eat or something to drink or put clothes on your back?" And Jesus said to them in Matthew 25:40, he said, "Whatever you did for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did it for me." That's amazing. I want you to imagine for a moment that every single time you use what you have to empower someone else or help someone else, you're literally blessing and serving Jesus Christ himself. Can you even imagine? That's how important it is that we use what we have to help others in need. Perhaps this is why Proverbs 19:17 says this: "If you help the poor," what are we doing? We're lending to the Lord. You're literally serving God by serving those in need. 1 John 3:17 through 18 is another incredibly powerful verse. John said, "If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person?" He's not kidding around here. He goes on to say, "Dear children, let us not love with words, not just love with words and speech, but with actions and in truth." We can't just keep seeing a need and saying, "Oh, what a shame. We should really do something about that." Better than that, the church, they should really do something about that. We can't just go on talking, we have to act. And I believe that God has called us, the church, his body, to be the hope of the world, to take the resources that he's given us, that he's put within our care and our management, and use them to love others out of poverty and into a place of wholeness. But how do we do this? What do we do? I know every single one of you, when you see a need, you're moved. I know that it makes you ache inside. But the problem is we don't know what to do, and many times, even if we did know what to do, we wouldn't know how to do it or how to get it right.
So in order to get it right, what we need to do is just really build a foundation around what poverty actually is. So there's this book called When Helping Hurts, and in this book, the author states that most Americans would define poverty as lacking something material. And if I ask most of you, like, what is poverty? You might say, well, I don't have enough money, I don't have the right house, or maybe it's like people that don't have access to clean water, or they don't have awesome health insurance. And then your 12-year-old might say, well, my family's so poor we can't even afford an iPhone. How am I supposed to play Clash Royale with Pastor Jeremy? It's not fair. But whatever it is, I mean, it's relative to where you are, but most Americans would say that it's lacking something material. So on the other hand, there are these 60,000 people, these low-income families that were surveyed, and they said that they would define true poverty as a mindset. They never said it was lacking something material. It was never, oh, I can't get my Gucci jeans this week. It was none of that. It was a mindset. It's what they think. Here's what they said over and over again, that it's a deep sense of shame, that I feel ashamed that I can't do more, I can't get out of this. And it was just truly a mindset. And they would say the feeling of like worthlessness, and they would use words like fear, humiliation, hopeless, over and over again. And it's this sense of being trapped. So I don't know how to get out of this. I don't have education. I don't have the right transportation. I don't have hope to. It's a mindset. It's not a lack of something material. So when we understand this and we actually want to help those who are in this mindset, who are struggling, hello, yes, I'm back, who are struggling, what we need to do is help them, not with just something that's going to get them through the day-to-day, that's something that's going to help just for the course of their life, that's going to change this mindset. So we need to get them from a place of hopelessness to a place of hope in God, that he's going to get them to the place that they need to be. So we want to give in a way that helps and never in a way that hurts. So if you know a little bit about foreign aid, that when a country goes through something maybe catastrophic or they're really struggling, other countries might come in alongside of them and just try to help prop them up, which is a great thing. But if it's done for too long, if it's done incorrectly, it can really just start hurting the society. It just starts to wreck their economy. And something that was made for good intentions, it can really end up hurting. So for me growing up, I never wanted handouts. I didn't really want help. I wanted to try to do it and earn it by myself. So if I had a goal in mind, what I would do is just save all my allowance, all my birthday money. I would look everywhere on the ground for an extra penny and dime. I would stick my finger in every vending machine, hopefully not getting poked by, the needles that your parents would always make you feel that they're in there, but that would never happen. I would just try to save all this money to get something, and it was a little selfish when I was younger, mainly because, when your parents say, turn that TV off, that's not your TV, that's my TV. You can't sit there, that's my couch, get off my couch. I'll be like, all right, I got to get what I need by myself. So I got my first TV, got my first video game system, and I was like, all right, my parents can never tell me to get off my TV. That's mine. I'm staying up forever. It's mine. I earned it. This is great. Of course, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. But the main thing is I wanted to earn it myself. I wanted to have that sense of accomplishment that I could actually get out. I could get something by myself, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys are like that too.
Yeah, a lot of times we want to come and help somebody out, but by giving them a handout, we're actually insulting them in the process. And I'll give you an example of where this almost occurred. About 2 years ago, Jeremy and I had the opportunity to lead a team out of New Hope Church to Nicaragua. And if you don't know, Nicaragua is one of the poorest countries in Latin America, where there are so many families and children who are in a chronic state of malnutrition, and we saw that firsthand while we were there. Every day while we were there, about 200 kids would line up for lunch. And there was this amazing group of women who felt like it was their calling and their ministry to cook and serve food to their community. But I just want you to imagine for a moment that we waltzed in with a buttload of food from the United States of America, and we stuffed those little bellies full of food for 7 days. But then imagine that 7 days later, we're gone. And those women who felt like it was their calling to provide for their community, they're left feeling hopeless and discouraged, like they don't have what it takes to better their community. And we would have had really, really good intentions. We wanted to feed people. How bad can that be? But we would have totally humiliated and discouraged those who are already trying to help their community. I'm so thankful this wasn't the case. Instead, we partnered with an amazing organization called Convoy of Hope. We came alongside Convoy of Hope and came alongside these women, and we lifted them up, empowering them, teaching them how to cook, garden, and have proper hygiene. And here's what we have to recognize, that the root of poverty is brokenness. If you're taking notes, please write that down and don't forget it. We need to understand that the root of poverty is a result of brokenness. All of us, each and every one of us, are broken in some way, and the root of every type of poverty is brokenness. And there's more than just material poverty. There's relational poverty too. I remember going to a developing nation for the first time, and my first thought was, wow, these people have nothing. But it didn't take very long for another thought to pop into my mind, and I thought, wow, these people have nothing. But boy, do they have a sense of community, joy, and love that I'm missing, that I don't have in my life. And there's all different types of poverty, but the root of them all is brokenness. It starts with a broken relationship with our Creator. When Adam and Eve sinned, creation was, in a sense, broken and tainted by sin. And therefore, there are some people today without because of the brokenness of sin. It's also a result of brokenness with ourselves. If I have bad self-esteem and I don't think very highly of myself, I'm not going to think that I have what it takes to get out of my current situation. I'm not going to think that I am made in the image of God or know that I have access to His power, and I'm going to be hopeless in all that I do. It's also a result of broken relationships. For example, you might have some need, but you're too ashamed to ask me to help. Or I could help you, but I'm too self-absorbed in my own little lifestyle to reach out and help you. Broken relationships. The root of all poverty is brokenness. That's why it was so life-changing. In Luke chapter 4, Jesus rode into Nazareth. He walks into a temple, and he opens up a scroll and reads out of the book of Isaiah. He says, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because He has anointed me to proclaim." And what did He say? He said, "The Spirit of the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind. He sent me to set the oppressed free and to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." Then a couple of verses later, he says, "Today, those verses are fulfilled in your midst." In other words, he was saying, I am the fulfillment of those verses. Jesus was saying, that's me. I came to bring good news for the poor. I have come to set the prisoner free. What we need to understand is this, that Christ saves. Christ heals the brokenhearted, and Christ is the one who sets us free. So the root problem of poverty is brokenness, and Jesus is the one who binds up the brokenhearted. When we understand that at its root, poverty is more of a mindset than a lack of something material, when we understand that it's actually from a root of brokenness and that Jesus is the only one who can heal that brokenness in us, that changes how we try to help and empower people who are in need. We're called to this, and we need to understand that as Jesus' followers, every single one of us are called to empower the poor, and that includes you. But how? How do we live this out? What do we do when there's a guy on the side of the road asking for money? What do we do when someone in our small group loses their job? How do we help in a way that doesn't hurt? So, to answer that question, there are 3 thoughts that we hope might be helpful with you as you seek Jesus to get this right. Number 1 is we need to recognize that we're called to serve others, not save others. Don't miss that. We're called to serve others, not save others. It's really insulting and dangerous to think that we're someone's answer. We're not the answer. Jesus is the answer. We're the servants. Jesus is the power. We're only the conduits to that power. We don't save people. We serve people. Jesus saves people. So how does he want us to serve then? This is really important. What I want to do is break it down into two thoughts. We serve essentially by doing two things. We offer relief and we work to restore. Relief and restoration. Relief and restoration, they're very different, but they're both extremely important. Relief is immediate, temporary help during and after a crisis. It's temporary. It's when a tornado, a hurricane comes through and demolishes a city. It's maybe in your life, it's if somebody in your family gets cancer or loses their job. It's immediate help. It's temporary during a crisis. Then there's restoration. Restoration is a little bit different, but it is very important. It's long-term relationship to rebuild wholeness. The catastrophe hits, and there's a lot of news, a lot of attention surrounding it. But then a couple days later, maybe a week, the world moves on, and there's still tons of people left trying to rebuild their lives. But the greatest thing is that the church stays when the world goes on to report something else. Essentially, this is what the Good Samaritan did to the Jewish man who was beaten up and left for dead. He saw him on the side of the road, and he said, I'm going to provide relief and restoration. He said immediately, here's some ointment for your wounds. Here's a bandage. Let me help you to survive. But then what he did is he put him on his donkey, and he brought him to a bed and breakfast, and he said, I'm going to pay for this. I've got some things to go take care of, but I'm going to come back. Why? Because I want to help you rebuild your life. I want to offer relief and restoration. Now this is why we have points of passion here at the Sound Church, at New Hope Church, so sorry, it's the worst. We take 10% of what we have, or what you give in the offering every Sunday. We take 10% of that and we give it to our points of passion. Ministries who are providing relief and restoration to people and in places where we can't be. I can't be in two places at once. I don't know about you, but I can't be across the world in another country providing relief and restoration when I'm called to serve in Warrenton at New Hope Church. And that's why our team scans the whole world to find the best ministries to give to. Now, I went to school for business, so I want the highest return for the dollar invested. I want to give to ministries and people that are trained and already called to serve and help provide relief and restoration. So I want you to know that when you give your tithe, your 10% of what you've earned to the Lord, and when you give offerings, that we at New Hope Church, we pray, we think, we strategize, how can we use what we have to make the biggest difference and to empower people and not give them just a handout. How can we help in a way that doesn't hurt? And that's what we want to encourage you to do as well. We want you to serve others, not save others. Jesus saves and we serve.
All right, so number 2 is that we need to relate with people and not rescue people. And this is going to be really important for a lot of you, that we're called to relate with them, to love them, just to be there for them. And this could be just so important for you that people are not projects that we help. They're actually real people that we love. So they're not projects. They are people that we love. So I'm going to go through struggles in my life. I'm going to need somebody to come in and help me out, but I don't want it to be for their gain. I don't want to be somebody's project where they just want to make themselves feel good that they help me out in a little bit of a way. We have to remember that people are not projects, but they are people that we love. And when we understand that, I mean, it's going to change the way that we think totally. So a friend of ours, they were a part of this organization, and they would come into these low-income neighborhoods, these different places, and they would just start helping these families that were really struggling, that didn't have a lot. They would put new windows in for them. They would change out their toilets, install new kitchen appliances, just make everything so much better than it was. And then after all that was done, the renovations, these family members would come back over, they have friends over, and they see all these great and wonderful things that this organization did. When that person went to sleep or when they left the house, they would come back, uninstall those toilets, bust out the windows, take all the new kitchen appliances, and go and sell them. Now, what was the biggest mistake here? What's that huge mistake that they made? And that's that they didn't really get to know the people before they started trying to help them. And that's huge. So we need to actually go in and ask, how can we help you out in your life? So maybe if they would have asked that question, they would get responses like, you know what, I just need access to more education because I need to get a better job to provide for my family. Or, you know, I need an opportunity to go out and get rid of this addiction so that I can actually have a job that will last. Or I need some transportation so I can go out and get a job that's going to pay me better than minimum income. I mean, whatever it is, we need to, instead of just swooping in, trying to be that hero, to actually ask questions about how can we help you achieve that. So that great act that organization did, I mean, it ended up just hurting them a little bit more than it was helping. So getting to know the people that we're called to love and to be with, that changes everything. So we need to actually help them find opportunities, give them the tools to actually make that long change. So when we begin to ask questions like that, like how can we help you accomplish your dreams, that is just going to start changing all of the way that we think and the way that those people live. And in other words, we're going to say that we're not going to do something for somebody that they can do for themselves. And if we apply that to our kids and we start encouraging them, empowering them, that's going to change everything. So we're not going to do something for somebody else that they can do for themselves. So like Hope, I'm not going to help her clean and cook dinner because she can do that herself. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. We're going to help them accomplish what they want to do, so that gives them the sense of dignity, that sense of pride, and that sense of moving forward that they need in their lives. So those who are struggling are not projects that we help. They are people that we love. So we're called to serve others, not to save others. We're called to relate with people, not to rescue people. And number 3 is we are called to reach out and never to reach down. So we reach out because we care. We don't reach down because we think we're better than somebody else. So we're always reaching out. And we're essentially saying when we reach out that, hey, I'm struggling too. You know, I'm poor. I'm going through the same stuff that you are. I care about you as a real person. I just want to be there for you. So that's how you actually love your neighbor, all right? So we don't swoop in trying to be those heroes reaching down. We are always fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, and we reach out because we care and because we love. So Warrenton, they have some great opportunities that we're getting behind, that we're coming in alongside with them just to help reach out. So we don't always need to go out and try to start something new or trying to find this need that needs to be met, because there's already people doing this. There's already organizations that are doing it well, and if we partner alongside of them, it's going to make a huge impact. So over these next few weeks, what we at New Hope Church are going to be doing, we're partnering with the Fauquier Family, the Fauquier Family Shelter, and if you turn on the back of your worship guides, you can see there's a list of items that they are really in need of, and there's a website on there too that has even more things that they're in need of. So these next 2 weeks, what we're going to be doing is we're going to bring that stuff in. We're going to partner with them. We're going to bless them so they can go out and just share all those great things with the community. So if you guys want to be a part of that, I just want to encourage you to do that. Not with yourself, just have your family come in, your kids, just really get them start to think that they can reach out, that they're not reaching down like they're better than anybody else. That's just such a great quality to have in your kids. And so we are also going to be doing, or if you want to have on your worship or your connection card, my wife is the administrator. She knows all the lingo. If you get on your connection card and you write on there your contact information and stuff like that, we can be able to start letting you know when small groups are going to be doing stuff for outreach, or when our church is going to be doing outreach. If you want to be a part of that as well, we can notify you about that. So we just need to start reaching out. So let's take what we have, let's take our time, let's take our finances and our talents and begin to reach out. So if you guys just go ahead and bow your heads with me this morning, close your eyes. God, we ask you that you would just empower us as a church to get this right in our communities, get this right all around the world. God, we want to serve. We want to be your hand extended. And it can be overwhelming to think of all the different needs that need to be met. But Jesus, just help us recognize that you're the one that meets those needs, that you're the one who saves. God, that you will speak through us. God, that you will use us. Just help us to be the salt and the light of the world, shining your light, Jesus. So as we keep praying this morning, we talked about a few different types of poverties. And one of those types of poverties that many people don't think of as spiritual poverty. And if you would say that, if I was to ask you, like, how is your spiritual life? I'm sure that some of you might say, you know what? I haven't been getting in the Word lately. My spiritual life is just kind of dead. Maybe you don't even have a spiritual connection with God. But I'm here to tell you this morning that Jesus is your answer. That Jesus came to that you might have life and have it more abundantly. He's not waiting for you to get it right. He's going to come and offer you his life. And he did that exact same thing. He came over 2,000 years ago. He died on a cross for your sins, to forgive you of everything that's happened in your life. So, and he was raised up again so that we could be raised up in new life. So maybe this morning you would say that you're spiritually dead in your life and you just want to have that just overcome. You want to give your life back to Jesus. Or maybe you've never done that and you just want to say, Jesus, I want to partner with you. God, just come in. I want to accept that free gift of salvation and of freedom. If that's you this morning, if you would just say you want to give your life to Christ, if you would just raise your hand up, we're just going to pray together this morning. That's awesome. So if you guys would just, all of us just pray this after me, that today by faith, I give you my life. Jesus, save me, forgive me, transform me, fill me with your Spirit so that I can serve you, follow you, and make you known in my life. Help me to love you with all my heart and to love my neighbor as myself, because my life is not my own. Today, I give it to you. In Jesus' name, amen.